Can you just talk a little bit about the effect of the US empire on people around the world? What does it do?
Yeah, William Bloom was a great inspiration to me as well. I mean, just the book Blowback from Chalmers Johnson, unpacking the role that the US has played to essentially treat the planet as its playground. I mean, look, the United States empire is the largest, most destructive, violent military apparatus in human history. We've never seen something that matches the military might of the United States. It has 800 to 1,000 military bases around the planet in at least 80 countries. This doesn't include lily pad bases, secret CIA outposts. And so when you're looking at the scale and scope and reach of the United States, I mean, it becomes completely unquantifiable because just beyond its military reach, the control culturally, the control of the US dollar, the economic strangulation that comes with not following the US dictates. So, I mean, my trajectory as a journalist traveling around the world, speaking to the victims of US foreign policy, speaking to the people on the front lines of these largely hidden struggles against US militarism, everywhere from Okinawa to Guam to Hawaii to Alaska to Palestine. It's the same story over and over again, and people will always point to the United States as the greatest threat to global peace. People would be shocked, I think, largely to realize that the rest of the world really does look to this country and thinks that it's the largest factor of global instability and war. So, I mean, we're looking at a multitude of ways that the US imposes control and hegemony around the world. It used to just kind of openly install dictators that bowed to its dictates. It used to, basically do these bloody, violent coups, outright invasions. We saw a rehabilitation of the US empire in the post 9/11 world. And so somehow the CIA was deemed good again, right? So the last 50 years of all these bloody coups and invasions and the armies essentially that were just tamping down on communists and left-leaning activists and peasants around the world in this bloody war against communism. All of that was kind of like just forgotten about, right? The historical revisionism in a post 9/11 world rehabilitated all these institutions. And so it took a while for people to really to see that evil nature of the US again. And, they just changed the language. It used to be really outright and really open. That's why you saw back, when the US acquired all these territories and outposts from the beginning, you had US leaders actually entertaining the notion to call the United States Imperial America or Greater America because the US wasn't hiding the fact that it was an empire. It was very proud. But over time, I think the ruling class realized that that wasn't really palatable. And so they kind of have tried to hide the notion that the United States is an empire, and people really don't understand and can't really grasp that notion of how it operates as an empire. Now, it does all the same things, but through a kind of murkier, more obfuscated lens of humanitarianism. It uses the language of, democracy and human rights. And so you see even, Alan Weinstein, the co-founder of USAID back in the 90s, he was saying, a lot of the things that the CIA used to do 20 years ago, we do through the USAID today. And so you see a lot of front groups, National Endowment for Democracy, USAID being used to foster, foment uprisings, regime change, agitate people to turn against their countries. But it's the plausible deniability of the US empire to say, no, we're just helping pro-democracy efforts in these countries. We're not just installing dictators like we used to. So we're the good guys because we care about human rights and democracy. And so what you've seen is less kind of and less kind of what the US used to do and more of this insidious sanctions regimes and diplomatic cover from front groups to just pour billions of dollars to try to agitate people to revolt. And we've seen that in countless countries in just the last 10 to 15 years.